Well, good morning. I think everybody having an extra hour of sleep last night, it throws you off, I think, no matter whether you're losing an hour or gaining an hour. So hopefully we'll have a few more folks join us. It is our great privilege this morning to welcome Nana Mensah, who is a grad student at MSU, to share a little bit about himself and how he landed in Bozeman and your church experience in Ghana. So you could welcome him with some applause, I suppose. Yay!
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm very glad to be here to tell my story. And as you see, the story is the great story. At the end of the day, you understand why I'm saying it's the great story. But from where I come from and where I've been to, it's been the grace of God. I've seen it through all my journey of life. So I'll move straight. Start with my country, Ghana. Ghana is at the west coast of Africa. And per our geographical knowledge, the Greenwich Meridian and the equator meet slightly below our coastal area. So Ghana is assumed to be the center of the earth. Though people don't want to accept it, but we've taken it ourselves that we are the center of the earth because it's just few meters away from our coast that the Greenwich Meridian and the equator meet. So we have accepted that. And because of that, there are a lot of resources that we have. If you think of any minerals in the world, you get a little deposit in Ghana. And that is why I want to say we are the center. So we distribute the resources to the world. So Ghana, this is our geographical view. We have about 16 regions. In the US, we say you have 50 states. Ghana, we will say regions. We have 16 regions, and that is where the region where I stay. And then this is where our international airport is. So you see it's very far. That's why I say it's the great story. Yeah. So this is where I stay. And then we have over 70 ethnic groups. Over 70. But the major ones are the Akans, which are subdivided into tribes. We have the Asantis, we have the Achems, we have the Fantis, we have the Zima, all come together to form the Akans. And then we have the Efe, Moli Dabani. They are the northern part, the Moli Dabani. The Akans are mostly around this area. The Akans are mostly around this area. Then the Kadambe are around this section. The Evers are here. And then we have the Guan and the Kusasi people are over up north. So that's the distribution of the ethnic groups. So as you go higher, the map, the religion changes. That's why you see a lot of Muslims as you move higher. The southern part is more of Christians because of the coast. So the whites mostly settled here. So that would give you the reason why the Christians are more in Ghana. Ghana, we are blessed with a lot of resources. We have minerals and cash crops. The major cash crops we mostly hear of is cocoa. We have oil palm, we have rubber, we have citrus fruits, all kinds. You can grow it over there. We have maize, cassava, yam, plantain, cocoyam. Then we have rice. When it comes to the minerals, these are the major ones. The oil, we started a commercial quantity in 2010. And then we have gold. Gold has been centuries. We've started, and then as at now, we are the world exporter of gold. But the revenue is not that much. Bauxite, manganese, and then diamond. Now this is how cocoa is harvested and processed in our local farms for you to enjoy your chocolate. Mostly around this time, that's where the harvest of cocoa is done. Because around this time, the weather is very dry. So we depend mostly on nature for our agriculture. So cocoa, we need to dry the beans. So this is the cocoa farm, you could see, and then we have the cocoa, they are just breaking the cocoa pod. So you see this from the farm, they take it to their various homes, and then they dry it in the sun. So that's why we do it around this time. This time that the rain is very low in our country. So we get a lot of sunshine and dry wind to dry the cocoa. So from now till middle of March, that's where cocoa harvesting takes place. And so if you want to wonder how your chocolate is being done, this is how it starts. The process starts from here. And Ghana and Ivory Coast contribute about 65% of the world cocoa production. So if you are eating chocolate, you are eating from Ghana. Alright, so, and that is the plantain plant that you see over there. Plantain. That's how the plantain is like banana. So that is how it is. Now we have tourist sites. In Ghana there are a lot of tourist sites. One of them is the Kakum National Park. It's found in the central part of Ghana. So Kakum National Park is over here. So when you get to Ghana and then you go to the central region, you can't go to Kakum without taking that canopy walk. That's the interesting thing over there, the canopy walk. And I went there, my first time being there was 2018. And that's the picture I took my walk over there. So it's 7, I think it's 8 layers as you move higher. Then so the 8th layer is the very top, then you descend down again. Then you get to the level 1, then you descend. So that's one of the interesting things. If you stay there in the night, maybe you could see other animals. But during the day, people go there specifically for the canopy walk. This was the first canopy walk erected in Ghana. And then they taught the local indigenous, and now we have a lot in other forest reserves that people go there. Then we have the Moli National Park. That is, I would say, the Yellowstone of Ghana. Yeah, that is the Moli National Park. And let me show this. It's over here, up north. That's why I'm saying it's the Yellowstone, because it's also up north. I've not been there, but it's far from my destination. There too, you see wild animals. We have elephants, we have lions, tigers. Though the number is decreasing, the population is decreasing because of climate change and because of urban development. People are encroaching into the forest reserve, so the animal species are reducing. So maybe if you go, you will not see much as in the previous years, but people go there to have a feel of it. You go there and you see animals. Any day that you go there, you see the animals. And the reserve is part of a local setting, so the animals even enter into the various homes of the people over there. And we have our Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park. That's our first president. He led us into independence on the 6th March of 1957 from the British rule. So we have a memorial park where he was buried. Funny enough, he was buried 3 times. One was Guinea, like we said, no, we don't allow that because he was very close to the Guinea government at that time. He helped Guinea to gain independence from the French people. And because of that, Guinea was the first group to get independence from the French. The French said they would not help them in any way. So they took all their resources out of the Guinea country. So Kwame Nkrumah said, I have allowed you to have this suffering, so I will give an aid to you. So the money we got from the British, he gave them some portion for them to use for development. And that was one of the reasons why they overthrew Kwame Nkrumah. They said he was using our money for a selfish gain to help Africa to unite instead of developing Ghana. So people agitated and then they got him over. Up to now, he has a track record of being the only president to develop Ghana to a certain level. Most of the resources we are experiencing in Ghana was built by him. Our hydro dam, the universities, a lot of them. After the 80s, he was the first, 1960s, he did a dual carriage road for us using concrete. And up to now, no one has done that in our country. So we really cherish him a lot. We have a day to celebrate him, that's the 21st day of September. and it's a public holiday. We celebrate the birthday, and I was born in September, so it's one of my idols. Then we moved to the castles. We have a lot. I couldn't bring all. This Cape Coast Castle, the castles are places where the slaves were kept before they were exported to the western part of the world. That's America. So most of the slaves that came passed through this place. That's where they were kept. We have a lot along the coast. Wherever the British or the Europeans settled, they brought in castles and then fort. Forts were mostly for defense. They stored their goods there, but some small slave activities were being done there. And the castles were where their governments established themselves. So that's why if you want to see the head of the British Empire, you go there. If you want to see the head of the Gaines Empire, you go there, you see them in the castles. And the forts were for the minor groups who were in Africa. So now it's a tourist attraction that people come there to view. And then this is our White House, the seat of government. We call it the Jubilee House because it was built on our 50th anniversary after independence. Earlier on, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah acquired the place and built one for himself where the office of the president was usually called the Flagstaff House. But because we have built a new one in front of it, we now call that one Jubilee House, and the old one is still Flagstaff House. But people are still saying it's still on that land, so they call it Jubilee House.
Is that your national flag?
Yeah, that's the national flag. Yeah, that's the national flag. The red stands for the blood of our leaders who fought for independence. Then the gold stands for the rich minerals in our country. Then the green is the rich vegetation that we have. The land is so viable that if you roof your building and then you plant something there, a little sand, it will grow. That is one thing that Ghana we are blessed with. Though we lack certain technology to expand our production, mostly our farming is on subsistence farming. We farm based on the family, the excess they sell, so much is not done in commercial quantities like in America. And then the black represents the soul of the land, as the citizens. We the black Africans represent us. Now, done with my country, now to my part of the story, my life. So I said, this story is about the grace of God in my life. Where I've gotten to, where I come from, it's been the grace of God so far. So I will start with my school. So I went to senior high school at Fijai Senior High School in the Western region from 2008 to 2012. After 4 years of high school education, then I moved to University of Cape Coast, where I did my bachelor's degree in mathematics education. Then from there, some time passed, then I went to University of Education, Univa, where I did my master's in math education. So all my academic work has centered on teaching. Someone asks why that. Through my infancy, people say when they ask, you ask children around you, say, what do you want to be? In Ghana, teaching is one of the jobs that previously they were respected, but now they are not that respected because the money, the salary is very low. So the prestige in it is going down. But they said, as little as I was, they asked, what do you want to be? I'll say, I'll be a sir. In Ghana, teachers are called sir. And the females are madam. So I'll be sir. Whilst my colleagues are saying doctors, pilots, engineers, I'll consistently, I'll be saying sir. So the teaching passion has been with me. However, in Ghana, people divert from other jobs to teaching because after degree, they don't get job. So people with engineering certificate will be teaching physics and maths because teaching is the only job that you find it easy to get in Ghana. The others are very, so people go there see teaching as an option. But I didn't see it as an option. I had a certificate that I used to do other things. But the passion that I have for teaching, when the joy that I get when I teach people, my colleagues, and they come back and say, oh, the exams I did well, then I feel so happy, more than the remuneration that I will get out of it. So that made me to pursue these degrees at the University of Cape Coast and University of Education, and then further it here at MSU. So I have some few teaching experience. These are the schools I've taught. In Ghana, after your first degree, you are obliged to do a national service for 1 year. So I completed 2016. So from August 2016 to 2017, I had to do my national service. And after academics, when the University of Cape Coast employed me or accepted my offer as a graduate teaching assistant for University of Cape Coast from 2016 to 2017, where I mentored undergraduate students, assisted the faculty members in whatever project that they were doing. Then from 2017, I had a 4-month. Immediately after national service, people were searching for jobs. I wrote an application on the day I got to the house in August. I went with my application, I had an interview on that day, I got the job that very day. So I never sat home to search for job. That is why I say my story is a great story. I went there, they just said, oh, okay, we are done with the interview, but because you just came, let's assess you. Then they called me, they were even telling me what time will it suit me for me to come for my appointment letter. That is why I'm saying my story is just by the grace. So after that, from 20, I taught at the elementary level, was a private school, just for 4 months. So I normally don't add it to my CV because I didn't get much exposure over there. Then October 2017, the government opened application for teachers to apply. And then March 2018, I had a job, and I was teaching at St. John's School. It's a boys' school, a Catholic boys' school, where I taught from 2018 till I left for MSU. So I've never enjoyed unemployment. I've never experienced that before. That's why I say my story is by the grace of God. So this is the neighborhood that I grew up in Ghana. So this is where I stay. If I should take you to Ghana, this is where I will take you to. This is my neighborhood, where I grew up. Though I didn't much live here, because my dad was a high school teacher, so we lived on campus. But my school was around this place, so if I go to school, I'll pass here, see friends, then I'll wait for the high school bus to take me back to my dad's place. But after retirement, after they went on retirement, we moved back here. So this is where I was before coming to MSU. So this is the neighborhood, this is the center of Takoradi. So if I would say, if I use Bozeman, where the various shopping centers are. So if you come to Takoradi, this neighborhood, you see all the shopping centers. Everything that you want to see in Takoradi, you see it over here. And you can't come to Takoradi without coming to my place. This, we are the center. We have the only market that is a roundabout. Yes, I couldn't get a picture of it because they are redeveloping it. So it is no more in existence, they are redeveloping it. We have the only market that is a roundabout that divides the city into 4 parts. So if you go in a loop, you get your starting point again. So that, and then we have the harbor. We have the harbor where Gorgesburg built for Ghana. And then Kwame Nkrumah built the Tema part of it. So Tema was basically a photocopy of Takoradi, though it's now developed, more developed than Takoradi. It was more modern than us. And we pride ourselves as the oil city. Though the oil is about, let's say, 3 hours drive from us, but we pride ourselves as the oil city. Because when they do the extraction or the drilling, they send it to our harbor to export. So we will say we are the oil city of Ghana. So when you talk of oil city, you come to Ghana and say you want to go to the oil city, they will take you to Takoradi. All right, so this is my Sunday activities. On Sundays, I dress up, so that's my house. I dressed up and then I move to church. If I go to church, I joined the evangelism team. We are mostly on radio, having sermon on radio. So I was part of it before leaving. And that's one thing I missed in Ghana, going to the radio and sharing the word of God. So I was part, and these are the team members that we always go on radio to have someone preach the word, and then we the panel will discuss it. We will discuss the word for people to understand it in practical ways. That's what I mostly do on Sundays. So Sundays, if you don't see me in church, that means I'm on radio. And if you don't see me on radio, that means I'm in church. And church, I was part of the Bible study, but because of COVID, we stopped doing those Bible study, but they plan on doing it, so I don't know if they started. Now to my church, as I've started on Sunday activities, now let's go to my church. I'm a Presbyterian. So I belong to the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, which was established by the Basil Mission from Switzerland. He came to Ghana, and then they started that church for us, the planting of Christ in our community. Earlier on, the Catholics started, and then other denomination came. Then I belong to the Presbyterian Church, and my congregation is Trinity Congregation Takrade, and that's our church building, very big and very old. We are about 95 years old. Yeah, we are one of the first churches in Western region. So we are very old. And in Presbyterian Church, we have what we call the presbyteries. The presbyteries, maybe you say diocese or something. Yes.
We say synod.
Synod, okay, yeah. So that's what we call the presbytery. And Western Presbytery, my church is the head. So that's where the head resides. So we have what we call the presbytery chairman. So that's where he resides. And then we have what we call the district. And we are also the district head, that is Takrade district, to our minister in charge. So here would have been Presby Church, you would have been the district minister. So all the churches in the district will be under your stewardship. So we are the presbytery head, we are the district head. So if you have a role in this church, it's like you are playing a big role in the region. Now, these are the various ministries in our church, and our motto for the church that they all may be one, the last prayer of Christ for the disciples. So that is the motto of the church, that we all be one. So we are mostly about unity. And one thing, our church, Trinity Presby, when we say Trinity, I know you think of the Holy Spirit, the Son, but ours is a little bit different. Though spiritually we accept the Holy Spirit, but the church was built on three main tribes in Ghana that came together to build the church. The Gans, the Akans, and the Evers. So that's why we call it Trinity. So the Trinity, one from the eastern part, that is the Evers. The coastal people is the Gan, and the Akans, we mostly take the Ashantis and the middle belt. So that's why we say the Trinity. But we have accepted the Holy Spirit, the Father, also as part of the, but in the physical realm, the Trinity means these three tribes. So when you come there, you mostly see the Akans, the Gans, and the Evans. Because of that, we do Bible readings in these three languages. In our second service, and then our first service is purely English. So these are the various ministries. We have generational groups. So these are our generational groups. We have other groups that we have, but I want to concentrate more on the generational group. That will give you more understanding. We have the children ministry. We call it the Sunday school. So that's for from grade 1 up to maybe 12 years. I don't know. So from 6 or infancy to 12 years, you belong to the children's ministry. Then from 12 to 18, you belong to the Presbyterian Junior Ministry, that's, you call it JY. You belong to that. So from 12 years to 18, that's where you belong to. Then from 18 to 30, you belong to YPG. So I was part of this group before, so now I'm 30, so I have to shift to another group. So then we come to the young adult fellowship, that from 30 to 45 years. That is where you also, so that's the working force. So the church mostly is centered on these two people for other activities. So if you belong to this, you use your strength. So because in Ghana, the youth are mostly unemployed or are not getting much job for them to contribute financially. So mostly we use our strength, and then they use their finances and strength. And then our mothers, that the women's fellowship and the men's fellowship, use their wisdom to guide us. So that is how the structure of the church is. So as you grow older and older, you have the group that you have to belong. And other groups, you have the choir, you have the church band. That one is optional. But these are generational groups, it's compulsory. As you enter, they just usher you into it. This is where the teachings takes place. So the teachings takes place over here in our church. So this is the inside of my church. This is the inside, and they were having a youth program. So this is how my church looked like. So on Sunday, our first service, you will see a little bit more than this. All the pews over there will be full. People like first service because it starts at 7 and close at 9. So people like that service, they want to finish and then go and sleep. Whilst the second service starts at 9:30 and close at 11, mostly for the old people, because they use the local dialects to do those teachings, and I'll be there. Though I understand the local dialect, I can't read the local Bible, so I don't like the second service. All right. So this is one of the things that our mothers do, that the women fellowship, they have uniform, one of their uniform that they wear. This is one of the things that they did. They went to the prisons to donate. So as you've been doing, you also do the same. You also give out to the needy in the society. At times you can organize a free screening for the community to come and have it. When government issues policy like they are saying we should register our SIM cards, our church make our place available for the telecommunication to have their centers there for people to. So in Ghana, churches are so open, and because of that, our community settings is very nice. The Christians and Muslims are there together. Where our church is situated, if you cross the road, a mosque is over there. And you've never had any quarrel between Christians and Muslims. And that is one thing that maybe I'll attribute it to our first president. He built Ghana on a state that we are one people. We should forget about our religious diversity. We should forget our ethnic diversity and focus that we are all having the same color, so belongs to one family. And we have lived together for years. We don't have any religious crisis, but there are some few crises as in ethnic exchanges and political exchanges. But in other parts of Africa that you hear of religious crisis, Ghana, we are blessed that we don't experience that. There will be some few exchanges, but not that detailed as in other parts of the world. So this is my last moment in Ghana. The middle portion is my mom and dad, and then my fiancé, and then my elder brother. I have a big family, but they couldn't come because the time I was leaving was a working day, so they couldn't come. I have about, I would say about 10 siblings. Wow, yeah, you're surprised. I have about 10 siblings. Yeah, so I have a big family back home. So this is my first time entering our international event. My first time entering there. So it was the first time entering there. I think it was redesigned. So it was also the first time for my family after the redesign. For my dad, he was receiving some of your Peace Corps who were coming to Africa to teach. So my dad had that interaction going to the airport for him, and he also schooled in Russia. So for him, he had a foreign exposure. But for my mom in particular, my elder brothers schooled in Italy. They also have that foreign exposure, but I'm the first person to move to the West. So they were all here to support us. In Ghana, moving to the West is something like a dream. So they all wished they were in my shoes, so they were all there to support me and were saying bye-bye for the first time leaving my family. It was very mixed feeling. I was sad, happy, but I was going to achieve my dream, so I was very glad. Then I started my plane off to America, and it took me, I would say, 2 days to get to Bozeman. First, I landed in JFK, then I moved to Atlanta, then I moved to Bozeman. So it took me 2 days to get here. That tells how far the journey has been. And it's all been by the grace, moving from the Atlantic Ocean, crossing the ocean for the first time, sitting in plane for the first time. I ended up having 3 trips in planes. So I have 3 experiences in plane. Yes, I have 3. But my first time ended being 3, that's the Trinity. So now life in Bozeman. So why MSU? Why MSU? Why Bozeman? Among all the states in US, why Bozeman? At the university, I had a friend who graduated. Then 2017, he had opportunity to come to MSU by name Bartinodro, now a PhD holder, so I call him Dr. Bartinodro. He came in and ushered me, urged me to apply. So I tried, I didn't get. I tried 2018, I didn't get. Then I said, then let me go and further. Then I went to University of Education to do my master's. Then he told me that looking at my dream, I want to become a math researcher in education, because in Ghana, mathematics is one of the core subjects that you need to pass before you can get to college. And on the average, about 50% get to college because they didn't pass in science or math or English. So the percentage rate for math is around 50%. So my dream is to have that percentage maintained at 70%. That is my dream, to have it at least so that 70% of our high school leavers can enter college. Ghana, the higher you go to school, the higher you earn. So meaning 50% don't earn enough. So that is my dream. And he told me coming to Bozeman will help me a lot, because they combine the content and the methodology. And I love math, so I don't want to go to places that I'll be reading more. I want to do a little bit of calculation plus the reading aspect, which is the research. So he advised me to come to Bozeman. Then I tried again for the second time, then I had it. So I had it, and on February that I had my admission letter and the offer letter, because of COVID, the US Embassy have limited spaces for interview. So I applied on first week of March that I sent in my application. People did it in December, they were still waiting for their dates. 2 weeks after doing mine, I got a slot to be interviewed, whilst people were moving to nearby countries, paying plane tickets of 5,000 just for interview. But I got mine by the grace of God. I didn't struggle. I went for the interview and I had it, and I came to Bozeman. Now this is my first day in Bozeman, my first shop. I am by one of our faculty member by name Professor Lubeck, who helped us to acclimatize well, sent us round. So this is my first day in Bozeman shopping. And then my first day in school at the mathematical science department, where I got to know about my fellow graduate students and then the faculty members. Then this is the African students. So they are my fellow brothers over here. There is, I think, this Katapoza on that day. That was the day that I met JP, who spoke. So that is the same place I was when I met JP on that day. And then he spoke a lot. He told me that there's Presbyterian church also here. There's Lutheran church. So he will not ask me to join him over here, but he will allow me to have a view, to have a visit in all the churches around. Then I'll make my own decision. So we had a coffee time. Then he spoke a lot about the church. And then I said, okay, I don't want to worry you much for sending me to the Presby church, sending me to this. Though I went to the Baptist church for my first Sunday on campus, I went to the Baptist, and my faculty member who took me there said, the church looks very old, people, they are very, so I should go to a place that is more energetic and little. Then I said, okay, I'm not saying I won't come to your church, but you are asking me to move there. I'll try. Then I said the following Sunday I joined Mary Alice and then JP for church here. Then I came, then I saw how you welcomed me. I felt at home. And then I said, then there's no need for me to look for the Presbyterian church. Let me be part of this family, because if I've been welcomed here and the service is almost the same as in the home, the only difference is our church, the person reading the sermon doesn't read the gospel. That's the difference. So the gospel is read by anyone. So we have our Bible reading, the first Bible reading, the second Bible reading, and the third Bible, which is mostly the gospel. So it's read by anyone. Then we take communion on first Sundays of the month. So when I came here and they were taking communion, I said, wow. I said every day communion. So when I call home and they say, oh, today they are going to take communion. In my home country, they are going to take communion. And I said, for me, I take communion every Sunday. So I'm always ahead of you. So that is a little bit about how I got here and how my life in Bozeman has been. Then I had a fun trip to Yellowstone through the help of Ada, who helped me to get in touch with the African student and then the international student. We went to Yellowstone and I had a great time over there. I had fun and I saw why people were in line waiting for Old Faithful. Immediately when the time that they told us that we erupt, then who would came and said, wow, indeed, they are Old Faithful like our God. So this is the end of my story. God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Already going to take questions.
Okay.
So I'm curious, did you meet Mary Alice or did you meet JP first?
Okay. Actually, I met JP first.
Okay.
Mary Alice was a faculty member at the time that we were having orientation. He was out of town.
Oh.
Then when we came and we were having a meeting, I was sitting at the far end, and she was in front, but I didn't know she was the Mary Alice. So the faculty member who was assisting us, Professor Lubert, told me that Mary Alice said the husband is downstairs, so I should go and meet. So I met JP before I met Mary Alice the following day. And they've been wonderful family to me.
Yeah. He's still warming up to our dogs, though.
Yeah. In Ghana, dogs are trained for protection.
Yeah.
So when I see dogs, I see wildness. So I see that they are wild. Though people tell me they are not wild, but we are not used to living with pets. Mostly our pets are more of cats that are trained to be like that. And then animals we keep in the house are mostly for sale. Or we use them for festive seasons. So we rear animals and we kill them. And that's also, dogs are mostly meant for protection. So most of our dogs are wild. So I'm now adjusting to the new system of having dogs as family members. Yeah.
But Emmanuel, who Nana met in school, is like, we should be paying him as a recruiter for OSU. Any student from Ghana, almost. Bernard didn't know Nana, or didn't know
Bernard
Emmanuel,
didn't know.
which was surprising, but usually, Emmanuel was everyone.
Yeah, Emmanuel has been a great friend, and we have been together for years. And the funny thing is, he was the overall best, and I was the second person. So he said, as he's moving, he want to take me along. So that's why he pushed me here. For me also to have a good feel of dedication he has experienced. So he availed himself for God to use to bless me. So for him, I'm always grateful. Wherever I go, I always mention his name.
And he actually, Emmanuel went to Nebraska and works for the center where I got my PhD. So it's a small academic world, yeah.
Yeah. So that is my story, okay?
Do you know why your home church does communion only first Sunday?
Okay. I've not actually asked of it, but I think maybe as a result they don't want to move straight to the Catholic system. They want, maybe that's how I see it. Maybe they want to differentiate themselves from the Catholic system. Maybe that is why they do it once. And for us too, we don't give communion to everyone. We don't give communion to, as in kids. Kids don't take communion in our church. You take communion when you are 18, where you do your confirmation to confirm that you have accepted the faith that your parents did, that Christian when they were baby, that you've accepted to be part of Christ's family. So at 18, that's where you confirm your faith. So that's where you start taking your communion. So you start giving communion from 18 years and up. But if you are a member of any denomination, then you take communion, you are allowed to take, you are part of it, you can take. But if you are a child, you don't take communion in our church. Because you are yet to confirm. It could be that you will be 18 and you say you don't want to be part of the family. So we want you to grow to be 18, where you get a YPG group, where you can decide for yourself, okay, I want to be part of this community, I want to be part of the Christian community, so I'm confirming my faith. And then you go through what we call a catechism class. Then you are then confirmed. Mostly we do it in December 26th, St. Stephen's Day. That's when we do our confirmation. Okay.
You've talked about Catholics and Presbyterians. Is there a very large Lutheran population in Ghana? No.
Well, actually, this is my first year in Lutheran church. So as Lindy was even saying, I was thinking it was Martin Luther Jr. who established the church. That was what I was also thinking. Then I read it and said, that one, this is German Lutheran. Not the American Lutheran that I know. So for Ghana, the Lutheran Church, maybe there are some there, but I don't know. But my first time of hearing Lutheran Church is here. But my roommate said he has heard of it. He was like, I've heard of it. I don't know whether he read it on the net or but I've not seen a Lutheran church in Ghana. Maybe there are some, but it's not that dominant as in America. But our church, mostly the Methodist, the Catholic Church, the Anglican Church. Anglican because of the British, and then Methodist because of the British, and then the Danes also came there, and then, so that's why we have the Basel missions who also brought in those Presbyterian stuff. The Catholics, the Portuguese were the first Europeans who came to the Catholic. The Catholic Church was the first church to be planted in Ghana, and they came to Elmina, and first we were called Gold Coast. There was this story that when you come to the coast of Ghana, you see gold on the boat. Without digging, there were gold along the coast. But now, those of the traditional views of that, because of our immoral acts, the boss have stopped providing the gold for us. So we have to dig deep before we can get it. But first, at the shores, there were gold deposits over there. So the Europeans were just taking them. And then they saw that it was getting finished, so they had to get to the interior part. So they brought in finished products like mirror and those things in exchange for our gold. So they give us alcoholic drink and then we give them gold. They give us mirror, we give them gold. So we saw that as we grow and we said they've exploited that a lot. They've exploited that, and we are thinking of developing policy that whatever they took from us, they have to repay us. But I think it's not right now because I believe that we are all one. God created us today, so whatever happened in the past, we need to let it go and then think of helping each other develop together. Okay.
So I have met people from several countries in Central and South Africa, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Kenya, and Ghana. The people from Ghana are always much more cheerful and happy than anyone else.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because we love our country and we have the view that we live in the best part of the world.
Ah.
Because everything that we want in the world, we have it in Ghana, except food. We have everything in Ghana. And we have been first in most of the things in Africa. We were the first African country to gain independence from the Southern Sahara. We are the first. And we've championed a lot of things. Whatever we partake in, we become successful. So we see ourselves as the best. Though we are a small country, just a population of about 30-something million, we are small, but we are very powerful in Africa. And people are jealous of us because since '92, we've not had a coup d'etat. And we are the only African country to experience that for a very long time without any political instability. And we pride ourselves as the beacon of democracy in Africa. And we are hoping that in this economic crisis, things will not turn sour in Ghana because things are hard and people are agitated that there might be a coup, but we are praying that it will not happen. So that is the reason why we are always happy. Because we live in a peaceful country.
And colorful, don't forget colorful.
Yeah.
And you have a soccer team in the world.
Yes, the soccer team, our soccer team is called the Black Stars. And we beat people twice. We've done it twice, and the third occasion that and that one we were saying that we were in crisis at that time. 2014, we were preparing to go to IMF, so we said we took a loan from you people. That's why we allowed you people to score us. That's the fun part I've been saying. But on the average, when it comes to soccer, it's one of the prominent games. As yours is the NFL, ours is the soccer. It's one of the prominent games. Then we have boxing. It's also another game that we are mostly doing well. But soccer is the most popular game. And in Ghana or Africa, kids don't normally learn how to play soccer. It's inborn. The moment you give that person a ball, you see that you can do one or two things without teaching us. So we just need some technical aspect. That is what the whites lead us, that technical aspect. But when it comes to the talent, Africans, we have it. But that technical development, that is what they use at the world stage. But one day, an African team will win the World Cup, and I'm hoping it will be Ghana. Okay.
How long will you be in Bozeman?
I think for the program, so if I do it fast, 4 years.
Okay.
Or 5 years, so okay, let me say average 5 years. So I'll be here for 5 years, but I don't know, maybe the same great story will tell me that I should establish my life here, so I don't know. For now, I'll say a minimum of 5 years.
His advisor might have just laid out a plan that communicated you plan on 5 years.
Okay.
Are there any foods that you have tried here that you really like or dislike, and what foods do you miss from home?
Okay. For me, I like food made of vegetables a lot. So all the food that I've tried here that have vegetables in them, I'm okay with it. And I don't know the names much, but another food that I've tasted, I think said tequila, the one that
The tacos?
tacos, yes. I think that's one of the food I like. Tacos, yes. One of the food that's the first time, and I'm sure we don't have that in Ghana. Yes. But what I missed home is our local food called fufu, made of pounded plantain and cassava, and you eat it with soup. That's one thing that I missed back home. Yeah. Aside that, all other food looks similar, except the potato that you call sweet potato in our country, we say sweet potato. It's not that sweet. Yeah, because ours tastes more sweet, and I heard that one is called yam over here. So maybe I'll try that one and see. I had sweet potatoes. I went to buy it thinking it's sweet like what is in our home. Then I saw that the taste is a little bit different. But aside that, I've enjoyed every meal. Pizza, we have pizza here, but it's costly in Ghana. Pizza is very costly. But for here, I think it's one of the cheapest food you get here. Yeah.
I feel like the food is probably healthier in Ghana.
Yeah, for us, we mostly eat food made of less processing stuff, but because of urbanization and less production in our agriculture sector, now we are importing a lot of things. So we are also changing to your style of eating, and that has brought in different form of diseases in our country that we are not used to. But all the same, as things have changed, I know time will come, science will also improve that those diseases will also be out of the system. So for our food, because we are mostly farmers and we live close to the farms, we get more healthier food. But now we are also changing to get things done faster. So we are also moving to the fast way of doing stuff.
Well, let us thank Ghana again for